Hello friends, it's time for another road trip video. This weekend we're going on a 2,000 kilometers drive in my Tesla Model 3 Performance. We're starting in the middle of Germany. Our first stop will be in Prague, in Czech Republic. We'll then head down to Austria to drive the High Alpine Road, which is one of the most beautiful roads in Europe. And finally we'll round it all up by driving to the world-famous Nürburgring racetrack. So get ready to tag along on this epic road trip. I'll be covering everything such as our consumption and all our charging stops along the way. What kind of issues we run into, what's good, what's bad, and everything in between. Make sure you're subscribed as well, as this will probably be a multiple-part journey, as there was simply too much to pack into a single episode. And with all that said, let's go back and start from the beginning. A couple of you have used my referral link for ordering your Teslas, which I am so very grateful for, by the way. But that also means that I have just 1 year to spend the referral rewards before they expire. So what better way than use them all up on supercharger miles, taking me across Europe or maybe even further, and bringing you guys along for the ride. As I was preparing to leave, I noticed that the tyre pressure was lower than what was recommended, so I figured I'd use this as an opportunity to test the Tesla air compressor kit I recently purchased. The primary reason for buying this kit is that the aero caps make it impossible for normal fittings to attach. The opening is just a few millimeters too small, at least for the 4 different ones I tried at gas stations here in Germany. Anyways, this pressure kit simply screws on, so there's more than enough space to make it fit. Then you just need to plug it into the car's auxiliary power outlet, and you're good to go. There's just an on and off button to press, so you need to be ready to stop it manually by clicking on the touch button once you reach the desired tyre pressure. In my case, that's 42 pounds per square inch. There's no setting to have the units in bar, so you need to convert to PSI. Since the attachment point is a screw, you will lose a bit of air when unscrewing the fitting from the valve, so you should add around 0.2 PSI more in order to end up with the desired tyre pressure. And that's all there is to it. Now let's quickly do the rest of them. At first I thought it was ridiculous to own a pressure kit like this, as why not just go to a gas station? Well, to be honest, after having used this kit and seen how well it works, I'm really glad I have it. It's nice to be able to do this from the comfort of your home, and I suppose it is even more practical in case of an emergency while on the road. While the Tesla model is a bit pricey, you should be able to find similar models for less than half its price on Amazon. I imagine they all use similar technology, you just pay a lot extra for the Tesla brand. I personally would buy this again though. A quick test on the road and tyre pressure is now spot on. Then we'll just reset the odometer so we can keep an eye on our consumption for the entire 2,000 kilometer trip. Now just the seatbelt on and we're ready to go. The car's battery is at 18 degrees Celsius and we've just finished charging to 100%. The car says that's good enough for 488 kilometers, but I wouldn't count on it. The outside temperature is just around 6 degrees, and for this trip I decided to just drive in the same fashion that I'd also drive in a petrol car, so we'll see how that turns out. That means driving the same speeds I would otherwise do, and then see how that is going to affect consumption and my charging stops for the trip. Quick note, your luggage is going to slide around when placed on the back seats, so I do recommend putting it into the boot right away. By the way, this is the sexy knob I mentioned in my last video, and it is honestly kind of cool. At first I thought it was a gimmick, but there are actually some really neat features that make me recommend this accessory, even if it is a bit pricey. My favourite feature perhaps is the ability to see the battery temperatures. For someone like me that loves diving into the small details, this is a fantastic feature. More on that later though. Let's first take a look at our route. It's currently 16:25 and we're scheduled to make a quick supercharging stop just before entering Prague. And we should arrive at our hotel just around 9 PM. So I guess let's get this show back on the road. 46 kilometers into our journey and our consumption is 206 watt-hours per kilometer. I'm not sure how to feel about that. It's certainly higher than in summer, but considering we're driving mostly with 130 kilometers per hour, I don't think it's too bad. Half an hour later and it's already dark outside. Our consumption hasn't changed much, but the battery temperature has increased to 23 degrees. I suppose the warmer the battery gets, the better the consumption. With it now being completely dark outside, I guess this is a good opportunity to showcase the Model 3's matrix headlights. As we approach to upcoming car, notice how the lights automatically dims the area that the car ahead is occupying, yet still keeps the rest of the street fully illuminated. In this example, you can see how well it also works with oncoming traffic. It has really been a joy to drive at night with these new lights. 200 kilometers later, and our consumption has slightly decreased. We should arrive at our charging stop in 41 minutes, with 8% charge left. The battery is at 35 degrees, as the car has started preconditioning for faster charging. And just like that, we've crossed the borders into Czech Republic. Now just a quick 45 kilometers drive and we'll be at our first charging stop for our trip. And here we are. We went from 100 to 8% state of charge, while having driven a total of 344 kilometers. Outside temperatures were around 6 degrees on average, and our consumption was 198 watt-hours per kilometre. I think that's decent, at least when also considering the speeds we were travelling with. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Due to the hotel not having a charging station, I have to stay a little longer at this stop, so that we'll be able to continue our trip. At least enough for reaching the next charging station outside of Prague. As electric cars charge slower, the higher the charge is, I'm not going to wait too long, as I also want to arrive before it being too late. We're now at 65%. That's going to have to be it. We arrived with 8% at 1924, and it's now 46, meaning it took us roughly 22 minutes to add 57% state of charge. When we arrive at the hotel, we should have 48% left. It also looks like we saved 30 minutes from the original estimate of arrival. Let's get on with it though. It has been a long day and I'm ready to finally arrive. A short while later, and we're now officially in Prague. I've only been here once before, but it's so long ago, I can't really remember. One thing I will say though, first impressions are really good, even at night. I can't wait to check out the city tomorrow morning. With the car parked directly at the hotel, it's time to check out the city views. Although I must say this looks much better in real life. In case anyone is interested, this is a quick tour of the hotel suite. As you first enter, there's a small guest bathroom on the left side. Then there's a sort of a sitting room. There's a small bar area, and my evening snack with a glass of complimentary wine. Albeit not a very good wine though. Beggars can't be choosers though, so it was fine. Then there's a bedroom next door with a bathroom en suite. The view from both rooms is also great, but now I really have to call it a night. It's time to head to bed and rest for tomorrow. See you in a bit. After a good night's sleep, it's time to quickly grab some breakfast before we head out again. The breakfast buffet was pretty good. They had all the usual, but also a few Czech specialties, sausages, hams and cheeses, which were all very good. After eating myself full, it was time to head out. After 40 minutes of failed attempts to book an Uber, I had to resort to one of these electric scooter things. 20 odd minutes later, and we've arrived in the centre of Prague. There's honestly nothing greater than running around a new city, early morning before all shops are opened, and breathing everything in without the chaos of busy streets. As up to 8 million tourists visit every year, I would suggest getting up a bit earlier to avoid rush hour. And even then, here at 8 in the morning, there were already small groups of tourists running around. There's something incredibly charming about this city and its old buildings. I could run around here for days just to enjoy the architecture. Today I was on a tight schedule, however, so I had to quickly run through the usual sights. The city is amazing though, and I'll have to come back again for a few days when I have time to really enjoy it. My plan here was to go down to the river and fly my drone to get a few nice shots of the city and bridge, but it turns out it's a no-fly zone. A shame really, as with the fog it would probably have been some really cool looking shots. I then quickly went back to the hotel for some free snacks in the executive lounge, all of which was complimentary to the room. By the way, I was able to book this room for just a little over €100, an amazing price to be honest, including all amenities, breakfast, executive lounge, spa and free parking. I would probably book this again next time. Great bargain. I of course also had to do a quick dip in the hotel pool before leaving. Located on the 24th floor, it offered some great views of the city. I imagine on a clear day, It's nothing less than spectacular from up here. Enough with the fun though, it's time to get going. On with my Tesla tee and sweatshirt, pack some complimentary souvenirs from the hotel, and then time for a quick getaway. Next stop, the mountains of Austria, the High Alpine Road. Well, I suppose we have to do a couple of charging stops first. And here we are, queuing for a charging spot, at noon on a Friday, out of any type of holiday season. To be fair, this is the first time I've ever had to queue for a charging spot, and I think it may just be because of it being one of the only Tesla supercharging spots near Prague. What however really bothered me was that 2 cars were occupying 2 charging stalls without even being plugged in. What's that about? As a fellow electric car driver, I would imagine at least having the decency to not occupy charging stalls when not charging. That really bothered me, especially as I had been queuing for 10 minutes at this point. Getting annoyed with the whole situation, I started looking for alternative charging spots along my route. Then I remembered my EV charging app, which has partnerships all over Europe. I figured it would be better to use them, as to not suddenly be forced to sign up to yet another charging service. Quick look in the EV charging mobile app, and I found 2 available chargers at a nearby Shell gas station. What was strange though, was that they weren't listed anywhere in the Tesla navigation. In fact, a lot of charging spots that were in my EV charging map weren't listed in the Tesla map. Does anyone know why that is? Quick scan with my German charge card. Small wait while it authorises. And boom, charging starts. Now this is how things are supposed to work. Very nicely done. 9 minutes later, and we have enough charge to arrive at the next charger with 9% left. Now here's a question to all you veteran EV drivers out there. Since charging is faster, the lower your state of charge is, isn't it always optimal to arrive at your next charging point with as low state of charge as possible? Or should I just trust the Tesla route planner, as I've often experienced it saying I need to charge for more than 45 minutes? But I know that once the state of charge goes above 60%, charging starts to slow down significantly, so it seems like it would be more effective to skip to charges between 5 and 60% rather than 20 to 80% state of charge. I would love to hear what type of charging strategy you guys feel is more efficient. Let me know in the comments. With a clear highway, I thought I'd also showcase another feature of the knob, which I find super helpful. This is honestly how Tesla should have been programmed from the factory. When adjusting the cruise control speeds on the knob, you can program it to only use increments of 5 km per hour, which makes jumping in larger steps much more efficient. Using the steering wheel, it's not possible to quickly jump speed differences of 5. It always requires a triple scroll and a small delay for it to register. Essentially, instead of scrolling twice with the knob, to add 10 km per hour, you need to scroll 6 times. Similarly, if you want to jump 20 kph, you'd have to scroll 12 times, rather than just 4 times with the knob. While rambling about my knob, we've now reached what is possibly the most idyllic charging stop I've yet come to visit. I'll show you guys around in a bit. We just first need to connect to a charger, and then have a look at where we're going next. Now here's the thing. Since I didn't really know when I would leave Prague, or how long I wanted to be driving today, I didn't yet book a hotel anywhere. So the only thing I know to plan after is that I want to go somewhere down to the Austrian mountains. I figure as long as I get as close as I can before it gets too late, I'll then book a hotel last minute, while doing my final charging stop. After looking at some charging options on the map, I guess my last stop is going to be around the city of Salzburg. After having settled on a charger, we need to charge at least for 25 minutes. So let's make the most of our time here and go check out the surroundings, as when we were driving in it looked fantastic. Isn't this just amazing? Tesla superchargers aren't exactly known for being situated anywhere nice, at least not in my experience. But this one, hidden away, somewhere deep inside the Czech Republic, turns out to be a real gem of a charging experience. With the restaurant open, I decided to enjoy the surroundings to the fullest. So cheers to my best charging experience yet. This is ideally how every charging stop should be, wouldn't you agree? Unfortunately, every break must come to an end, and we now had to continue. We ended up charging to 95% as I couldn't help staying here a bit longer. It's now time to say goodbye to Czech Republic. It has been wonderful, and I'm sure I'll be back again soon. We're now crossing the borders into Austria, and it's unfortunately time to end this first part of our journey. If you like this kind of content, please do consider subscribing for my next episode as we head into the Austrian mountains and drive some of the most epic roads of Europe. So yeah, that's it for this time, my friends. See you in the next one.